Sequoyah County storm. It's starting to merge with that southern cell. Now, anytime that happens, of course, your rotation might diminish just briefly for a few minutes before those cell interactions can often enhance the rotation, give it a few more scans. So while we are seeing some good news at the moment, that's not to say that threat's not necessarily over. Warning polygon now flashing, telling us Weather Service has made some updates to it, likely just trimming out some folks that are no longer in the path of that storm. We'll go back to velocity. Let's get an idea of where that rotation is. And you can see it's right in this general vicinity between Redbird Smith and Brushy. We'll take a closer look, see if we can't get some roads, some streets to populate for us here. If we look a little bit closer, Marble City, here's where our rotation is, just to the north of Pinhook Corner, just to the south of Evening Shade. It's broad, but here it is. This radar data can sometimes get a bit messy, right? What we're looking at are Doppler radar winds. So the radar's telling us, hey, there's some greens here. That's winds blowing towards the radar, reds blowing away from the radar site. And of course, we're looking out of the Fort Smith radar. Close enough gives us a pretty decent view into that storm. That's not too high up. You know, you get away from the radar site, away from Fort Smith, you're looking a little bit higher up into the atmosphere. Not necessarily the case here. We have a pretty healthy view into Sequoyah County, this specific storm. So that gives me some degree of confidence that the rotation we are seeing here is certainly something to be concerned with. That's going to cross Highway 59 that runs north out of Sallisaw, should that maintain its current trajectory. Rowan's not technically in the warning, but if you're in the Rowan community, it's really close for comfort. They drew that box just to your west, so we definitely want to take our tornado safety precautions if we're in Rowan. Look, Fort Smith, not in that warning yet, but that certainly might be the case here in the next few moments. We want to watch that closely. If you're just now joining us, I know it's a Friday evening. We're heading into the big Memorial Day weekend. Really easy to check out. We do have a dangerous situation unfolding right now. We have a supercell that's moving through Sequoyah County. It pulsed up really quickly. There is Doppler radar indicated rotation that suggests to us if a tornado's not on the ground, which I'm not seeing any debris, that very well could be at any moment. So let's just keep that in mind. Here's going to be Interstate 40. That rotation now about 5 to 6 miles north of Interstate 40. It probably will cross 40 at some point between Sallisaw, Muldrow, or shortly there off towards the east. So we'll want to keep in mind if we know anyone that might be traveling out there here this evening. Of course, going into the big holiday weekend, a lot of folks do have holiday plans. Tornado warning continuing for Sequoyah County. In addition to the immediate tornado potential that this supercell exhibits, it's also dropping 3/4 of an inch hail. So that's right below severe weather limits, but some hail nonetheless. You see those lightning strikes, certainly telling us that updraft's really healthy, right? The more lightning, the healthier the storm is. And we're continuing to see that over the last several scans. That's not necessarily changing. It's this specific supercell is ingesting this storm that was off towards the south. So what I suspect is going to happen over the next few minutes is the storm itself is going to be disrupted. That could inevitably lead to a stronger supercell once it gets its act back together. What we'll do is I'm going to go back probably, let's say, the last 20 minutes, and you can get an idea of when this was taking shape. You can start to see it taking that classic supercell shape. You've got decent inflow into it. This cell starts to get in the way, but not before the area of rotation really started to strengthen. You can see right about now, this was about 8:18, so this is a few minutes ago, about 11 minutes ago, we started to see that more classic supercell structure. Here comes that hooking shape right there. Very familiar with that, right across Evening Shade. That's when the warning was issued, exhibiting some decent rotation. We take it forward till now. And we're definitely seeing that cell interaction there. This is going to merge into one supercell. The question is, can that merger disrupt the rotation that was happening? If so, does that mean the tornado warning is allowed to expire? Or do we need to hold on to it for a little bit longer just to make sure it's not going to try to pulse back up? I'll tell you, the parameters in place for today lent themselves much more to a damaging wind and large hail potential, with some shear levels lacking when it comes to what's needed to get some of these storms to spin. Obviously, there's enough shear out there this evening that this specific storm is trying to rotate. The question is there still enough left that downstream out ahead of this? We'll just have to be paying close attention to that. This is our only tornado warning at the moment. It's going to be in effect until 9 o'clock this evening. We take a zoomed out, broader perspective, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that does include Washington County. What we're going to see here is this specific storm that's getting ready to move into the Fayetteville area. It's going to be capable of producing some large hail, 1 inch in diameter. That's the size of quarters. That's the size necessary to get some rotation. What we're going to do here, just so we can keep everyone informed, we'll take a slightly tighter perspective so we can keep our eye on both of these storms. Right now, that's pretty much crossed squarely into parts of extreme southern Benton, most of northern Washington County. That is going to bring it through Fayetteville, should it maintain its current course. You know, there's something that's rather interesting happening here. You can often look at the tornado warning polygons or the severe thunderstorm warning polygons, and it's going to give you a general idea of the direction that those storms are traveling. This severe thunderstorm warning, this severe thunderstorm traveling almost due east, perhaps east-northeast, but you look at this supercell here in Sequoyah County that's producing the rotation, it's taking what's called a right-hand turn. Anytime a supercell starts to turn right, that's one of those early indicators that it's going to try to rotate, try to produce a tornado, and that's what's happening. And you can see the evidence of that simply by the tornado warning polygon alone, giving us an idea that it's tracking a bit more east-southeast. Severe thunderstorm warning, a new one just issued for Adair, Cherokee, and Sequoyah. You see that popping up there. That's going to be for 2-inch hail. 2-inch hail with this storm. So we've gone from 3/4 of an inch up to 2-inch hail in addition to the 70-mile-per-hour winds that could be possible. That tells us the updraft that would be necessary to support 2-inch hail is pretty strong. What happens is you've got these raindrops that are falling, but the updraft, which is of course air rising from the surface to the upper levels of the atmosphere, takes that raindrop way high up until it freezes. The raindrop falls, and it happens over and over and over again. Eventually you get large hailstones, 2 inches in diameter. That's certainly going to hurt if you're found underneath 2-inch hailstones. Definitely want to seek shelter not only from the rotation that's being indicated by live radar here in Sequoyah County, but the hail alone is going to be a problem for us. Frequent lightning and thunder, no question about that. Winds up to 70 miles per hour. Haven't seen that quite yet, but that certainly doesn't mean that it can't happen at some point. We'll go back and take a look at our velocities. I want to do a couple of things. I want to check in on the rotation here. It's still there. In fact, maybe those greens are a little bit brighter. Perhaps that's a little bit more organized there, just to the northwest of Sallisaw. Not seeing any rotation here, but the Fayetteville or the Washington or Benton County thunderstorm definitely got some strong winds coming out of it, though. There's no question about that. Could see up to 60-mile-per-hour winds. We'll take a tighter look back at that area of rotation. In fact, it probably wouldn't hurt to go ahead and put a new storm track on that for us. You can definitely see it right here near Marble City. This is going to be your area of concern. It's very easy to identify when you get those colors really tightly wound up together. That's going to cross, I believe that's 59 between Sallisaw and Brushy. Sallisaw is going to come really close to you folks, especially on the north side of town. If we're in Sallisaw, let's go ahead and be in our tornado safe places and be mindful of this specific supercell. Rotation probably is tightening up. In fact, what we're going to do is we'll get an idea over the last 15 minutes. We'll back this up in time, and you can see that it's maintained itself pretty well. Somewhat disorganized around 8:20. That's 13 minutes ago. Starts to tighten up as it moves a little bit closer towards Marble City. And I would say over the last couple of scans, you're still seeing it. Look, it's not the strongest I've ever seen, but it's definitely warrants some serious attention. Brushy, you're going to be next in line. Aikens, you're next in line after that storm crosses 59 there. Eventually, it could get close to Sebastian County. We're going to need to be mindful of that as well. If you're in Sebastian County, you're not technically into that tornado warning polygon, but you certainly are going to be downstream from that. Minimally, Sebastian County, Fort Smith, even Van Buren and Crawford, you're definitely going to have a strong thunderstorm move through. Look, I'd love to tell you it's going to weaken before it crosses into the state line. I don't suspect it will weaken enough to drop it below severe limits, especially given it's got 2-inch hail right now, in addition to the actual tornado threat, which is certainly going to be concerning for us right here. I'm going to take a look at debris signatures. just to make sure we don't have debris lofted in the air. I know this data can get really messy. It's not great for TV. Bear with me as we analyze this storm in real time. What I'm doing is backing this up and telling the radar, hey, show me anything that's up in the sky that shouldn't be there, and I'm not seeing anything. So good news for now. That doesn't mean it's not a very dangerous situation. Area of rotation, Marble City. That's where we've got Doppler radar indicated strong rotation that could at any moment lead to a tornado dropping out of that cloud. That's our only tornado warning. It does include Muldrow. It does not include Roland, but boy, it's really close. In fact, you're probably hearing tornado sirens if you're in the Roland community. We'll bump this in just a tad and get a couple more areas of interest here. Of course, this is going to be Interstate 40. Area of rotation is going to be right in this general vicinity, rain wrapped. Boy, if that's where the rotation is and all those reds are showing up there on rain mode of the radar, there's no way you would see anything. It's going to be rain wrapped without question. Sallisaw, brushy. It's going to be passing pretty much right between you folks, crossing 59, eventually going to get close to the Muldrow community. Muldrow is under the tornado warning, as is Bellefonte. I'll tell you, Bellefonte, I think you might be just to the north, but boy, that's way too close for comfort. If I'm in Bellefonte, I'm going to go ahead and do all the things you know to do. Take those tornado safety precautions, get to your safe place. Of course, you've probably identified exactly where that is in your homes, your place of business, wherever you might be at this evening. Just keeping tabs with storm spotters and storm chasers not getting any reports, which I consider a good thing. If we're not getting any reports, that tells us maybe this hasn't produced a tornado just yet. Again, not to say it won't. It's very possible that it could. A very healthy supercell. It's just recently ingested another cell, and sometimes that can really change the behavior of these storms. We're going to have to pay close attention to that. If you see me looking off camera here, we've got an amazing camera network that I'm just keeping an eye on, making sure we don't see anything from our Fort Smith cameras. We're close enough that we could definitely see into the heart of that storm. The problem is you can't see through all that rain. I'm definitely seeing frequent lightning and thunder from Fort Smith to our Choctaw camera. From our 8 camera, very dark there on the western sky, no question about it. If there was a sunset out there, that storm's certainly going to obscure our view of it. Very tall thunderstorm, very efficient at producing some hail. Right now, it's capable of producing 2-inch hailstones, especially in the northern side of this. So Sallisaw, we may avoid the hail, but I don't think we're going to avoid the hail necessarily here in Brushy. Yeah, that'd be a good idea if we can pull some cameras in. This is going to be a live look from Choctaw, looking back off towards the southwest. What you're probably going to see there, if you look long enough, is a decent amount of lightning. If not, that'll certainly be the case as that storm gets closer to that camera. At any point, you folks up in the booth want to pop in some other Fort Smith cameras, that would be wonderful as well. Sequoyah, we're going to continue this tornado warning for you folks there in Sequoyah County. In addition to the potential of a tornado, it's likely producing some really large hail. Wow, look at that hail core right there. Dwight Mission getting ready to move into Brushy. That is some very large hail. 2 inches in diameter may be possible with that storm. So not only is this storm rotating, not only could we be just minutes away from tornado, you've got heavy rain, frequent lightning and thunder. You just saw live there. You've also got significant hail core there. 2 inches in diameter, may pass just to the north of Sallisaw, but that's not to say that might not change a bit. Boy, that's going to be some damaging hail. I'm afraid we're going to see some reports out of that. ACHE, our camera here live in South Fort Smith, looking back off towards the west. You can see frequent cloud-to-ground lightning there off in the distance. That tells us it's a pretty healthy thunderstorm. Not only do you see that, you've got other anecdotal evidence as well. You've got the strong rotation, you've got the 2-inch hail that radar indicates could be possible with the specific storm. Very heavy rain going to be coming out of that as well. All right, we're going to take a wider perspective. There are other thunderstorms moving through the area, and we got to keep a close eye on those. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for largely Washington County. It does clip Benton County just a bit. Springdale is included. I think Rogers, it gets really close to including you folks there. Right now, that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect because that specific storm capable of producing 1-inch hail, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. I'm not seeing a lot of rotation with that storm, but that doesn't mean that might not change. I'm not finding greens embedded specifically within that storm. I do think I see some winds coming out of it. That's probably where your 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are going to be. You're going to be seeing those here in Fayetteville here real soon. Rogers part of the town is certainly included in that warning. You can see it's generally tracking off towards the east-northeast. No rotation with it at the moment. That's some really good news. Can't say the same about the storm. The supercell moving into parts of the River Valley, Sequoyah County. Your tornado warning continues. Here's your rotation right here, now passing just to the south of Marble City. This storm's not moving fast at all. In fact, let's get the latest storm track on it. Specifically, it's moving only at 25 miles per hour. Boy, imagine being under this storm. Folks in Marble City, not only is the storm producing some rotation, which could drop a tornado at any moment, you got 2-inch hail, and that storm ain't in a hurry to get out of town. Good news is, as I was talking, I did see a brand new scan of data come in that suggests that rotation a bit weaker with the latest scan. It's still there. It's still very broad, but it's definitely still there. If you're in the Aikens community, it's going to be passing towards you as well. It really looks like that storm, the center of circulation, going to cross 59 right between Sallisaw and Brushy before moving into the Aikens community and then further off towards the south of Bellefonte, getting close to Roland. That area of rotation, probably on a beeline towards Roland. The good news is you got some time, especially given how slow it's moving. Perhaps the storm weakens and fizzles out. I'd love for that to be the case. I think we all probably would. With that said, though, I've not seen a lot of weakening yet. We've got one new scan of data that suggests maybe that rotation isn't as tightly wound up, isn't as strong as it once was. That's not to say it might not pulse back up. You already know these supercells often do as that. They often pulse up and they pulse down. It's just a very normal part of their life cycle. That we often see with these specific storms. Some good news in the moment. If you're in the Sequoyah County tornado warning polygon, just because we get one good scan of data does not mean it's time to come out from the cellar, does not mean it's time to come out from the closet. Definitely want to stay put where you're at. That storm could pulse up, not ready to give you the all clear yet. As soon as we can give you the all clear, there's no question we're going to do our best to do that. Area of rotation right here near Marble City, but look, you can't see it. There's so much rain. This is what's called a high precipitation supercell for obvious reasons, right? There's a lot of rain, heavy rain, in addition to the 2-inch hailstones probably falling out of that storm. So if you're in Sallisaw and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to go step on the back porch because that's just what we do around these parts, right? Don't, please. You're not going to see it, and you're just going to put yourself in danger. Gosh, look at all that lightning as well. So there's a lot of hazards associated with this specific storm. The hazard specifically, tornado warning, Doppler radar indicated rotation strong at times, and 2-inch hail. The impact's obvious, right? And no one wants to have to deal with a tornado, the damage from the hail. It's going to be tough. If you're caught outside without a helmet, it's just not a situation you want to put yourself in. In terms of the timing, it's going to be very soon. Problem is, it's moving at 25 miles per hour, so it's going to be on your back doorstep right now in Sallisaw, but Aikens, it could be a little bit longer. You're going to see the hail before you see the rotation back off towards the west. Roland community, should that storm hold together, you'll see that hail in rotation a little bit later as well. Checking in with our folks in the field, not getting any reports. That's good news. Again, we don't want reports of tornadoes. We want reports that things have quieted down. We just don't have that necessarily yet. We go back to area-wide perspective. What's happening is there's a cold front moving through, and that cold front has kicked up some thunderstorms. We told you all along there may not be many, but those that do pulse up would be capable of producing some severe weather, and that's what we have happening this evening. Severe thunderstorm warning for Fayetteville. If you're in Fayetteville, we have a hailstorm getting ready to move through. Not only is it going to be capable of producing hail, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds for Washington and extreme southern Benton County. Keep that in mind. The most concerning storm continues to be what's going on here in Sequoyah County. In fact, if you just look a little bit closer, you see all those lightning strikes. You can kind of compare the two. There's a decent amount of lightning with our Washington County storm, but there's even more so just off towards the south in Sequoyah County. That tells me this is definitely the stronger of the two systems. Now that cell merger is nearly complete. What we've got to pay attention to is, since that initial supercell has pretty much swallowed up that southern cell, how does it behave now? Is that going to mitigate the threat, or does it actually enhance the tornado threat? Both can be true. Anytime you see these cell mergers like that, especially with the right-hand turning storm, as what we have seen with this specific cell in Sequoyah County, it could enhance the immediate tornado potential. So we're going to keep a close eye on rotation to see if that's going to happen for us or not. Latest scan indicates maybe some really broad rotation, not seeing much. There's certainly some winds happening here north of Sallisaw and Brushy, but no concerning signs of rotation. So now maybe we've got a couple of good scans under our belt. That could be some good news for us. Tornado warning remains in effect for the next about 15 minutes and 14 seconds, right up until 9 o'clock. Severe thunderstorm watch is going to be in effect until 10 p.m. this evening. You know, this is another good example of, even if you just have a severe thunderstorm watch and not necessarily a tornado watch, you can still get tornadoes to develop in these specific storms. Don't think we've seen that yet. I've not seen debris. I've not seen reports of a tornado. What we have is a supercell that's trying to produce a tornado. It may lack the necessary ingredients to get there, but we won't know that until this thing dies out. And right now, that's not happening. Right now, this supercell continues to maintain its strength. It continues to show some signs of organization. Quite a large hailstone falling out of this specific storm, 2 inches in diameter. So a quarter, just for some context, is 1 inch. Now we've got 2 of those. So certainly some large hail probably mixing in that downpour, as well as the heavy rain. Severe thunderstorm warning is going to continue for Benton and Washington County. We've trimmed Adair out of that. That, of course, in the northwest part of 5 Country. Still looking at 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as 1 inch hail in this storm moving through Washington County. There's not a lot happening out ahead of it, not a lot happening to the south of it, so that tells us that cell may not weaken necessarily in the immediate future. You got a couple more cells back off towards the south. We'll have to watch those also developing along the cold front that's moving through, and that's our lifting mechanism. You know, you need certain ingredients to come together to produce severe weather. The cold front interacting with that really warm, really moist and unstable air mass that's been in place all day today. If you were outside any at all, you know just how muggy it was, right? Boy, those dew points in the 70s, that's some really tropical air, and that's what these thunderstorms thrive upon. You just got to have that front to stir it up, and that's what's happening. It's a slow-moving cold front. We've been tracking it in parts of northeast Oklahoma in our neighbor's backyard since really early afternoon, and it's finally making its way through our area. Only got a couple of thunderstorms with it, but boy, they're severe. There's no question about that. We're staying on air until this tornado warning is allowed to expire. At that point, we'll believe the threat is past, but until then, we just can't. Until then, danger is imminent for our friends in Sequoyah County, so we're going to ride this out with you folks. We're going to walk you through until the danger has passed. This is what it looks like on radar. We also have a wonderful camera shot from Ake. This is going to be in South Fort Smith, looking back off towards the west. You're probably going to see frequent lightning, frequent thunder, hear thunder if you're in the area, right? Not seeing anything. What we're going to hope for is if there is a lowering in that cloud, well, number one, it's going to be rain wraps. It's going to be tough to see it to begin with, but maybe we got lucky to see something. We're going to have to rely on that lightning to illuminate the sky. Not seeing anything there pressing yet. I honestly don't think we'll see much, just given where that area of rotation is in relation to the rain shield, in relation to the heavy hail that's probably falling. It's going to be rain wrapped. High precipitation supercell. It's so muggy out there. Moisture is not a concern when it comes to a severe weather setup like today. Not seeing anything. We can go back to our radar. We're good with that. Let's keep an eye on it, though, just in case that gets a little bit closer to that camera. For some context, that camera is sitting right in this general vicinity, not far from Fort Chaffee. So in theory, it actually could give us a pretty decent camera perspective. Good news for you folks. Let me just confirm what I'm seeing here. Tornado warning has been canceled. Area of rotation has weakened below the limits necessary to prompt a tornado warning. I'm checking for myself. I don't see anything overtly concerning. Good news. Before we return to regular programming, we're going to take a look more broadly. Still have a severe thunderstorm warning. No rotation within that. We do have hail, though. Hail is going to be a big possibility for the Rogers and Fayetteville community, in addition to Sequoyah County. 2-inch hail in Sequoyah County, 1-inch hail right now possible in southern Benton and northern Washington County. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to be here all night until all of these storms fizzle out. With that said, tornado warning has been allowed to expire, and I have no business taking up your primetime programming if there's not an immediate threat. So for 5 News, I'm Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to stay on digital platforms, our streaming platforms. So if you're in Sequoyah or if you're in Washington County, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on YouTube, and you can find us on our free mobile apps. We'll ride the storm out with you there. In the meantime, we're going to go back to regular programming. All right, for the folks that stuck with us there on streaming, thanks so much for your patience as we returned our television signal back to regular programming. That's our policy. We interrupt for tornado warnings when there's significant life-threatening danger, and thankfully right now our supercell in Sequoyah County has fallen below severe limits. I know the drill when it comes to these storms around these parts. These things pulse up and these things pulse down, and that cycle continues. So we'll stick with it here until we can totally give everyone an all clear. In the meantime, got a couple of thunderstorm warnings. Boy, these mean business, especially this one producing 2-inch hail in Sequoyah County. Well, let's see if it's come down any. Boy, I hope so. I hope it's come down. Looks like it might have. You see these dark purples here? That's where those 2-inch stones were falling. It does look like perhaps that hail size is starting to come down. Probably still nickel size hail coming out of the storm and brushy. Also keep in mind this radar data can sometimes be slightly lagging behind when it comes to these types of products. Requires some computing power, right? So we'll have to make sure that that doesn't pulse back up before we know it. We'll go back and see that storm in northwest Arkansas. What's its hail size like? It's definitely there. This storm's moving a bit more east-northeast. I think we're going to probably have some hail in Rogers. Taking a look at our tower cameras. Folks up in the back, if we could take Jack Links, I know it's going to be in Bentonville, but that's giving me a pretty sight as well. And then we can take, after that, Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce. I know that I've got that camera pointed towards the north. Downtown Bentonville Square looks like it's coming down pretty good as well. You guys can just take whatever you want, and I'll be happy with it. Here's downtown Bentonville right here. Boy, heavy downpour coming through. Looks like if we turn on rain mode, definitely have some good heavy rain, but nothing severe in Bentonville. How about that? Jack Link's camera, this is going to be in Bentonville also. Looking near Thaden Field, Walton Boulevard. Heavy rain, nothing severe, frequent lightning and thunder. This is going to be the Holiday Inn camera in Springdale. This is, let's keep that camera up. This is within our severe thunderstorm warning. This specific warning was issued initially for 1-inch hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds, and that's not changed over the last couple of minutes. I just want to make double sure we don't have any rotation in Washington County. We do not at this moment. That's good news. We do have hail continuing to come out of this storm. I might see some hailstones, especially on the north side of Fayetteville. Here's Springdale. Here's where our camera is that you see on the left side of your screen. We're peering right into the heart of that storm. Certainly going to see a decent amount of lightning in there. I can hear the thunder at our station right here in Johnson. Of course, that's going to be just to the south of Springdale. Looks like that hail getting a little bit closer to Rogers. Folks in Rogers, boy, I hope you parked your car under the garage or the carport. Looks like it very well could be upwards of 1 inch in diameter. Checking, make sure we're not seeing anything new. We're good. All right, this specific thunderstorm right now only capable of damaging winds 60 to 70 miles per hour, as well as large hail, 1 inch in diameter. That's the size of quarters. This camera you're looking at, this is Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce. So sitting downtown Fayetteville, I've got it pointed directly towards the north. So we're going to be able to see directly into the heart of that storm as well. Got a lot of good angles to analyze this storm from. Doppler radar is great. These cameras also give us a really good perspective of what's going on. Goshen, you're technically included in this severe thunderstorm warning. Looks like the hail core, though, is probably going to pass to your north. And that could be some good news for us. Fayetteville, it also looks like the hail core may pass just off to our north. We're looking at those darker reds here. That tells us where the brighter reflectivity or the heavier returns as seen by Doppler radar are going to be. It does include parts of Rogers. War Eagle, not under the severe thunderstorm warning at the moment, but boy, you're close, right? You're really, really close. Back to Walton Boulevard, continuing to see quite a bit of heavy downpours. Traffic's moving a little bit slowly there. Lots of lightning, lots of thunder. Wouldn't be surprised to see 40 to 50 mile per hour winds in Bentonville. That's going to be just to the south. The severe thunderstorm warning is going to be just to the south. What I want to do is pull up our XNA weather station. I'm just curious what winds we're seeing there at XNA. My guess is that it got pretty breezy as that storm came through. Let's see. So that's going to be down at the moment. That's unfortunate timing. Could have used some good data from there. That's okay though. Springdale, heavy downpours coming through. Is that where this camera's from? I believe that is. Yeah, this is going to be the Holiday Inn in Springdale right here at the bottom of that camera shot. That's I-49. Not a great night to be traveling between Fayetteville and Bentonville. If you got to do that drive, whether north or southbound, if you can give it 30, 45 more minutes, not a bad idea. Let that storm pass. You probably will get a bit of a break. There may not be much behind it. We knew all along going into this evening that it was only going to be 1 or 2 storms. maybe 3, right? They were going to be few and far between, but those that did pulse up and develop would be strong to severe. And that's what's happened. We've kind of waited all afternoon. This front has not been in a hurry at all. And we continue to see those 2 supercells out ahead of that actual cold front. You got some showers, some thunderstorms, sub-severe, so no immediate concern just to the south of McAllister. Fort Smith, you're definitely hearing the thunder. You're going to be seeing the lightning. This storm that's been tornado warned at one point, but no longer is in Sequoyah County, it's going to be moving into your neck of the woods here real soon, especially Van Buren. The further towards the north side of town, you're going to have a better chance of getting in on the heavy rain, the lightning, the thunder, perhaps the hail. It's still got a severe thunderstorm warning for hail. Let's see if it's come down any at all. It looks like it has not. It's still 2-inch hail is the warning language, 70-mile-per-hour winds with that specific storm. It's only crawling, get this, at 25 miles per hour. I also got to tell you, just given how much rain's coming out of this, knowing how much moisture is in the atmosphere, a storm motion that slow, you got to be concerned about some flash flooding too. We've seen a decent amount of rain. Ground is pretty saturated in the river valley over the last several days. So we'll need to be mindful of flash flooding in addition to the hail, in addition to the potential of some additional rotation that could develop. I think we're going to see a decrease in the overall intensity of these storms now that the sun is set, but that may still be a couple of more hours. It's not like flipping a switch on and off once that sun sets. It takes a little bit more time, so we're going to need to be mindful of that. No power outages in Sequoyah County. That's some really good news. I would invite the folks in Sequoyah County, if you saw some hail, you got some pictures, if you would, just text me. Here's our number here, 479-785-5000. I'm going to keep my phone. If you see me looking offhand, I'm just going to see what text messages are coming in, and we'll try to share some of those photos and your reports here as we stream online. If something happens and we need to get back on air, of course, we will do just that. Our number again here at the station, 479-785-5000. That comes directly to me and our meteorologist here at Channel 5. Store that in your phone. Save it in your cell phone. You ever have a question about the weather? Shoot us a note. If you ever see something cool, of course, we want to see that as well. We want to know what's happening out there. Live radar giving us a pretty good idea. I'm afraid what radar is telling us that's happening in Sequoyah County is a pretty strong thunderstorm. 1 to 2 inch hail. I'm going to back this up. I'm curious if what we're seeing is going to be coming down or not. Weather Service continues to think that this specific storm is going to be capable of producing some large hail. Boy, it was large when it was moving through Evening Shade, Dwight Mission. This was around the same area where we saw that pretty strong Doppler radar indicated rotation. Here's Brushy. We're probably getting some hailstones in Brushy. Looks like maybe we avoided the hail in Sallisaw. The new severe thunderstorm warning does not include Sallisaw, but boy, it's just a couple of miles north of downtown, a couple of miles north of Interstate 40. So maybe we dodged a bullet there in Sallisaw. I'm afraid we probably can't say the same if anywhere from Evening Shade to Dwight Mission. Vian was not included in that warning, which is some good news for us. We'll go back area-wide. Maybe some folks are just now joining us. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 p.m. this evening. At that point, we expect the severe weather potential to be decreasing, but really for about the next hour or so, we're going to have to be weather aware. We do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for our neck of the woods. The first in North Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, includes far southern Benton. Looks like we have a brand new one just now popping up, a smaller severe thunderstorm warning, which indicates to me that these storms just aren't moving very fast. No need to draw a big old warning polygon box if it's not going to move fast. Looks like that one specifically is also going to be for, let's get you the latest update here, 1 inch hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. And that's going to include places like Fayetteville, Lowell, Johnson, Sonora, Springdale, Tawnytown, Elm Springs. That's going to be where you could see some of these hailstones. Here's 49 right here. Here's our studio here in Johnson, Springdale, Weatherton, 412 right here. If you're along 412 between Tawnytown and gosh, even out north of Goshen, right? We're like traveling to Huntsville area. Anywhere along there, probably seeing a little bit of hail right now. Minimally some very, very heavy rains. There's probably some hailstones embedded within that specific storm. Not a great evening to be traveling along 49. At any point, we have a good camera shot from 49. RDOT, of course, has quite a bit of cameras. Here specifically, the Holiday Inn in Springdale. Looking at traffic flow patterns there on 49, boy, that'd be a A tough commute this evening. Not only do you got the rain, you've got the hail beating down on your car, probably got a little bit of wind pushing you around out there on the roads as well. Visibility is going to be decreasing. Mile marker 72 in Springdale here. Looks like a lot of folks have those flashers on, trying to keep everybody safe. If you can avoid traveling 49 between, let's just say Fayetteville and Bentonville for the next 15-20 minutes, not a bad idea, folks. You got a hailstorm moving through. Hailstone's going to be the primary concern. Secondary, probably going to be those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Either way, it's going to make for a tough drive. If you live in Tawnytown, Springdale, 1-inch hail is going to be capable with this storm that's moving through your neck of the woods. Doesn't include War Eagle. This latest warning does not. We'll have to see if it maintains its strength as it slowly crawls towards the east-northeast. We'll go back to the River Valley. How close is that storm getting into the Fort Smith area? It's trying. I'm going to loop this. I'm going to loop it for only 15 minutes, and what we're going to find is just not moving very much at all. Boy, it's just kind of training over the same area over and over and over again. Rainfall rates as high as I suspect that these may be. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if we don't start to see some flash flooding in that area. It's not going to take much, just given how saturated the ground is. Nothing really happening in Fort Smith proper right now, but you folks in Fort Smith, I know you're hearing the lightning and you're hearing the thunder, right? There's a lot of it. We're looking to look. Is that the ACHE camera again? Once it gets dark, it's kind of tough to make out exactly where we're looking at. Yeah, that's going to be the ACHE camera looking towards the west, west-northwest. So that camera is sitting specifically here, and it's pointed into that storm. You're going to see a decent amount of lightning. Maybe that lightning might be coming down, which would be some good news. That severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. You saw it just fall off there, which is some really good news. Right now, we have this one severe thunderstorm warning for Benton and Washington counties, still capable of producing 1-inch hail. That's the size of quarters. Boy, that's not good at all. Left side of your screen here, this is looking from the Marshals Museum along the Arkansas River. We're pointed back off towards the west, also giving a pretty good vantage point into that storm. A lot of lightning still out there, but it is coming down. At least that's a good trend for us, right? Consistent heavy lightning and thunder. We'll check the Choctaw camera there in Fort Smith. Not a lot happening. That storm's probably going to be inching closer and closer there to the casino. There right now, though. Looks like we're in good shape. I'd like to go back to the Springdale Holiday Inn camera. That's where this severest storm is moving through. It's the only severe warning we've got left. Right here is downtown Springdale. Here's 49. That camera in this general vicinity. So soon we're going to see precipitation is going to let up. We'll probably see a lull in that activity and then back off towards the east. If at any point, I was playing with that camera earlier, I think we can point it towards the east if we can. That's going to give us a view on the backside of that storm as it starts to cross. Well, it's really hugging that Benton, Washington County line, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's hugging that line. I think it's going to push into War Eagle. Question is it still dumping hail? Severe thunderstorm warning now allowed to expire. You just saw it fall off the screen there. Generally speaking, that's some good news for us. These things pulsed up, but they pulsed down pretty quickly. Wagonville would be a great vantage point. Live looking towards the south, you can almost see those hailstones falling out of that. Minimally some big old fat raindrops. It's going to cause some treacherous travel for the next little bit. If you're in Fort Smith, storm's getting closer to you. We pay attention to these storms that are still well off to our southwest near McAllister. Those generally moving towards the east-northeast, so those could find themselves in LaFleur County, eventually back into the Sequoyah County, perhaps moving back into the River Valley before it's all said and done. You can see the orientation of that cold front right in there. Those storms firing up along it. That front's slowly going to be pushing towards the east. And here's the problem with this front as we look ahead, and I'll have more details here at the 10 o'clock newscast. As we look ahead, this cold front is going to kick it in reverse. It's going to back it up as a warm front. That warm front is going to prime the atmosphere once more, and that's going to really set the stage for tomorrow's severe weather risk. Level 4 in place for central Oklahoma, level 3 for parts of eastern Oklahoma, even Benton County, level 2 and 1 as you go. In fact, we're on streaming. I've got all the time in the world. Let's go ahead and just pull it up. I'll just show it to you. Get the latest risk. This is for tomorrow. What I'm showing you is going to be for your Saturday. Look, most of the day Saturday's decent. It's going to be warm. It's going to be muggy. Have a lot of sunshine initially, but we get late in the day as another cold front. Well, it's really going to be a dry line, kicking up some storms. Some of these could move through. Here's your level 4 in red. Tulsa's included. Level 3 for Tahlequah. Level 2 for Fayetteville, Rogers, and Bentonville. Level 1 for Fort Smith, Ozark, Paris, Waldron, Boonville, Clarksville, Hartman. hopefully those storms weaken as they progress east. That's the current thinking. With tomorrow's setup, it's a lot like tonight's. We don't expect a whole lot of storms. We expect more people tomorrow evening won't see a darn thing than those that do. The problem is those 2-3 supercells that get going, they're going to get nasty pretty quickly. They'll have a lot of fuel available to them, a lot of ingredients. It's a very classic severe weather setup for tomorrow. The overall risk looks like this. You break it down, tornado risk is going to be highest in LaFleur and Sequoyah counties, northwest Arkansas. You're damaging hail, you're damaging wind risk, pretty similar to each other. It really looks like the further north and west you go, where we're going to have the better ingredients at place to support some storms. We'll take another look at radar before we wrap things up here online. That cold front, it's been a while since I've updated it. Let me just drag that to its current positioning. You can see those storms are really firing up right out ahead of that cold front. We do expect these to continue to weaken over the next hour or so. That's coming from some machine learning from the NSSL, National Severe Storms Laboratory, looking at some modeling offhand off radar that suggests those storms should continue weakening over the next hour to two. The severe thunderstorm watch is going to remain into effect for let's see, the next 55 minutes. 10 o'clock is when that's going to be allowed to expire. Right now, current time here, 9:05. We've had a tornado warning earlier this evening for Sequoyah County. No confirmations that anything ever touched down. At one point, the rotation was really strong. We do know we had a large hail core in a couple of these storms. If you saw hail this evening, especially there in Sequoyah County, I'd love to hear from you. The number there on your screens, 479-785-5000. I am seeing some of you folks are texting in, and we appreciate those reports. We're going to wrap this stream up. Unless a tornado warning is issued again, unless a severe thunderstorm warning is issued, we're going to get ready for our 10 o'clock newscast, and we'll have the latest forecast for you all about your Memorial Day weekend coming up then. And I'll tell you, here's a preview. Here's a reason to tune in for 10 o'clock. The forecast for Memorial Day has really improved. I think you're going to like it. We'll see you there at 10.